Good morning, Rotarians and guests. Good morning. Welcome to Rotary. I'm Ron Strobel, the Sergeant at Arms. Our invocation this morning is by Bill Wooldridge.
Good morning, Rotarians. Good morning. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we do not love you until we love our neighbors. Let us not be content when others go hungry. Let us be among those who are willing to sacrifice that others may not be hungry, who dare to be bearers of light to the loneliness of our stricken lives. Let our hearts be moved by the misery of others. We are responsible to our fellow man. Amen.
Amen. And amen.
Thank you, Bill. And to lead us in the pledge and the four-way test this morning, Brad Nelson.
Morning, Rotarians. Morning. Brad. Face the flag, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now, at the four-way test, the things we think, say, or do. First,
is the truth.
Second,
to carry all concern.
Third,
will build goodwill and better friendships.
And fourth,
will be beneficial to all concerned.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. And to lead us in song, Dick Pearsall.
I thought this morning we should have a little fun, and in honor of our speaker today, I looked up some words and things. In 1907, Gus Edwards and Will Gobble wrote a song called School Days, School Days. Does that fit in today? It does. And I think maybe it might be sort of fun to sing it. So, yeah, okay, here we go. School days, school days. Here, old fashioned school days, reading and writing and arithmetic, taught to the tune of a hickory stick. You were a queen in calico, I was your barefoot bashful boy. When you rode on your sleigh, I love you, Joe. When we were a couple of kids. Oh, now, I want to say, can you pick out 3 or 4 things in that song that aren't appropriate today? Right on the mark. Good job.
And not necessarily for the better.
Okay.
Our president, Joe Avella.
Thank you, Ron, and good morning.
Good morning, Joe.
I don't see anybody wearing calico here. What is calico?
No, you're not old enough.
We'd like to, first thing off, we'd like to introduce our guests. I will ask Chris Barker, our secretary, to come up and introduce our guests today.
Good morning, Rotarians. First, I would like to introduce, joining us again for probably their 3rd, 4th, 5th, or 6th time, we have Jay Yard and Matt LaFountain. Hopefully you'll be official members here soon. And then I would like Rich Warfield to please come up and introduce his guests, Greg and Christina Dooley. And Greg and Christina, you may come up as well. Yes. Thank you.
Actually, they're not my guests, but they're guests of the club. And we thank you for, I don't want to take credit because really Joel brought them in. But Christina and Greg have started up a company in Hudson which helps do placement or college assistance type services. And maybe you could just spend a couple seconds talking about that. And we wish them the best of luck in their new endeavors. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
First, thank you for having us. We own Estrella Consulting, which is on Main Street, right across from the clock tower above the Country Blues store. It's actually a full-service college and school planning business that we've We started it in 2008, so we've had it for 7 years, but we just moved to Hudson in April. We do full-service college planning, like Rich said. We also started ACT tutoring this summer, so if anyone knows teens that are going to be going through the college search process and need some guidance, we're happy to help, or if they need some help getting through their ACT tests, we can certainly help with that as well. And we welcome any of you to stop by our offices anytime if you'd like to come and check it out. It's actually a really neat space that was occupied for about 40 years by Noe and Breyer, which I know probably many of you know those gentlemen. So please stop by and visit us.
Okay, thank you. You may see that we have not lowered our standards today. You may see a few of us wearing jeans. That's because today at 10 o'clock, some of us are going to Camp Ledgewood to help clean up, and that's Gail Royster and Chris Barker, Ron Strobel, who's wearing jeans, George Schmutz and his wife Tina, and me. I will be there. So we're going to start again with our 3-minute Rotarian. This is where an opportunity for each Rotarian to present a 3-minute little bio, and today it is Jim Ahern.
Okay, George, you caused it. Good morning.
Good morning.
Bunch of slides, no words, just slides, just pictures. George, you know where this is? It's New Haven, Connecticut. It's where I was born. On the left over there is the far left tall building, St. Raphael Hospital. That's where I was born. And somewhere around there is Yale. Don't know where. And I went to parochial school, and we didn't have hickory sticks, but I do remember getting whacked by a ruler. Okay, when I was 8 years old, my dad worked for GE in Fairfield, and he used to commute down to Fairfield from New Haven. He got transferred to Kansas, and his dad, who never left New Haven in his whole life, said, "You didn't get promoted, you got farmed out, son." And so we moved to Kansas, and I actually saw 3 tornadoes the 6 or 7 years I was there. One was pretty close to our school, and so that was pretty wild. My dad then got transferred, and for somebody from Connecticut, he got to move to the Connecticut Western Reserve. So we moved to all that place that a lot of Connecticut people wanted to move to back in the early 1800s or early 1700s, and it didn't get much better. It was a big change from the farmland in Kansas, in the suburbs, but actually in the farmlands, to the Mahoning Valley, and went to Warren Howland. Left there. I met my wife 2 months before I graduated, and we went to separate colleges. And she's probably the only reason we're still here. And if everybody remembers, all freshmen always had somebody at home, and by the end of either Christmas and certainly by the end of the year, that was down to about 1% of people that still had a boyfriend or girlfriend at home. I went to Westminster College. We've been hearing about this a lot because Dan went there and Bob Cramp went there, and Bob was kind enough during my birthday to buy me a Westminster hat. So at Westminster, I was a biology major, and I was in pre-med. Unfortunately, I could not do well on the MCATs, so I went on and left to Westminster. But during the time I was at Westminster, I was an RA and an assistant dorm director, so I saw a lot of this view a lot of times for a couple of years, although I got room and board for free, so it was a good experience. I was a Sigma Nu, and I think the only reason that I was an officer in Sigma Nu, and I think the only reason I never lived in the house because I was an RA, but I was good friends with the dean of students, who was we were always in trouble with. So I think they just made me an officer because I didn't live in the house and I was an officer with, or I was an RA. I also played baseball there, and I know it's a little older. Dan Williams is up in the far right-hand corner up there. The uniforms that we had, obviously this is from 1908, and I think my freshman year we still had wool baseball uniforms. So there's probably those right there. After that, I went to work for Eli Lilly. My office was the upper right left-hand corner there, and we certainly did a little bit better, and quickly we turned into a Fortune 100 company. And interesting little tidbit here, especially with you're going to be making a vote on in early November, This is a product in 1903, I think it was. How about that? And we actually did clinical trials on children with very difficult ADD, and it worked. Well, by the 20s, the government said no more cannabis. Well, I still got a garage full of samples, so no, I don't. With Lily, I moved my first management assignment in Boston, and a lot of great things about Boston, but this is what I remember. Traffic. After that, I moved to Chicago, great city. What I remember there, more traffic. We were moving around. I had 3 kids at the time, and so I pray to God every day I still have the same kids and wife that followed me around for a while. And went back and spent my last 6-7 years in the home office before computerization and the internet allowed me to transfer my job. I was director of Midwest to Hudson. And so the reason I've been living in Hudson is my brother went to Western Reserve Academy, and I'd never been to Hudson before except visiting him back in the 70s when he was a student here. And my wife and I said, you know, if we ever move back to northeastern Ohio, this is the place we're going to look for a house. And I proved that I wanted to move here because I bought a house that wasn't even for sale. And so it's not fun. Gail will agree with this. If you're trying to negotiate with someone to sell their house to you, you're not in the highly leveraged position there at all. After I retired from Lilly in 2008, I worked with Sandler, did sales training, management development, business development. And after that, I'm director of Hudson Job Search, thanks to Jim Gorian and Joe Rusnak, and enjoying every minute of it. Some hobbies I do is the number one hobby is the family. We went on a cruise this summer. I'll tell you, Disney does a great job, man. They know how to take care of you. If you never want to appreciate customer service, go on a Disney cruise and then have to talk to your insurance company for about an hour on the phone. The opposite ends of the spectrum. I have 6 grandkids, 4 of them. My son has 4 daughters in Indianapolis, and my daughter has 2 in Phoenix, where I'll be going in January and part of February. Other hobbies, I try to catch fish. This is up in Canada a few years ago. I used to fly. I wouldn't fly with me. No, I'm not current at all. We'll fly with other pilots once in a while, but I'm no good on my own. And lastly, I just love golf, play a lot of golf, belong to Lake Forest, and this is me in about 20 years. Believe it or not, this is the way they used to tee up golf balls. Put a little bucket of sand and put the ball on the sand. And pretty amazing. All right, why did I join Rotary? Lake Forest Golf. Is the people. And I knew Jimmy Sutphin before, and I saw this picture when I was looking through some things, and I said, I still miss him. I still miss him a lot. But it's great people, great organization. And one last plug before I leave is the biggest mistake that Cleveland's making is not the teams, it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They haven't even nominated the Moody Blues. I've been to 15 concerts since 1970, and they haven't even got a nomination. Who has ever been to a Smith Brothers concert? I've never even heard of them, and they get nominated. So anyway, anybody that'll listen to me, I'll talk. Thank you.
So now we're going to pick the next 3-minute Rotarian for the next 2 weeks. If you recall, we picked Jeff Tong. He has an issue, and he's going to be scheduled in a few weeks from now. So for next week, October 21st, it is Bill Wooldridge.
There you go.
That's next week. And the week after that, which is October 28th, is Tom Page. Tom's not here. Tom's traveling. So I will talk to Tom. I think he'll be here. Okay, so today is Fine Day, and I'd like to ask Ed Sogan to come up to conduct Fine Day. Take out your dollars.
Rich and Catherine are going to help me out in regards to collecting fines. Just a real quick overview of the Taste of Hudson. Everything is just about concluded. A couple of last-minute bills are coming in, but it was a very successful event again this year, and we would like to thank, again, the over 250 volunteers to help make this festival a success. The mission of the festival has always been to highlight Hudson, to bring people into Hudson, to highlight our fabulous restaurants and the shops, and provide music and a festival over the Labor Day weekend. It takes a heck of a lot of work. We have people that work 12 months a year on this, but it's our volunteers that make it run and make it successful. This year we had a little trouble with the heat, as it was over 90 degrees, and Dick was out there selling our $20 express cards, and he'll attest to the temperature in regards to how hot it was, but it beat having rain that we had last year, so we did a good job. And just to let everybody know that in the 11 years we've run this, we've been able to give away $320,000 to local charities and grants, so we're very proud of that. I got to grab one more thing because I just saw Dexter come in here. Okay, it is a fine day, and once again, what we're talking about, and Joe Avella has had an opportunity again to talk to different people about how they raise money. These monies are used for different types of projects, and again, last week's presentation by the students in regards to tutoring and those types of things, those monies will go toward that. Our Jimmy Sutpin project, again, as a beneficiary of Fine Day. So don't be afraid to open your wallets. And if we get to the point where you're over $5, again, you don't have to worry about paying that. But the other thing that we're doing, and again, Joe suggested this, was have birthday wishes. And there's a lot of confusion about this. And basically what it is like when I had my birthday in July, I gave $20 to take a ride in Phil's 1947 Cadillac, which I'm still waiting for the ride. Phil, that's a $1 fine. Where's he at? Okay, Phil criticized the fine master because he didn't pay a fine last time, $2 for him. So we're going to hit up Phil a little bit with that. Anyway, with the birthday wishes, it could be something, again, where's Evan? Okay, it could be a golf lesson from Evan, and you pay a nice little fine. Or a little amount. You could take a ride in a Corvette. Whoever might own a Corvette, you might want to do that. You might want to go to lunch with one of our members. It's a way, again, to connect with some of the people in the club, and it's a way, again, to build up the coffers in regards to Fine Day. So, think of things that might be enjoyable to you to do with another member, or again, some way to help add to the fine experience. Okay, sports report. We've got Molly Sandberg has qualified for the state tournament, and she's our top tennis player. I believe she's undefeated. If you look in the hub today, there's a nice article about her. And the rumor going around is that Tom Tobin has been mentoring her with her backhand. And if that's the case, Tom, $2 fine for you.
If that's the case, how did she get to state? That's what I'm wondering.
She's a very, very talented athlete. That's with his tutoring, I'm sure. To start off with our fine day, if our fine collectors could look around, no pins, no badges. Evan's got his pin, but no badge. Not on. So please pick up a $1 fine from each of those people. Please hold up your money so they can go around and collect it as quickly as possible. Oh, I've got one from a couple of, maybe even months ago. we had a phone go off, and George Schneider pretended it was no big deal. It sounded like a car alarm. So, George, that's $2 because that was very disruptive to our meeting. Den Rich. Den moved into Laurel Lake, and again, he's making significant differences. If you noticed on Boston Mills Road, that was paved just right in front of Laurel Lake. No other place, just in front of Laurel Lake. He's done that. And also, if you look at the sign, it's now Lou L. Lake. I don't know what that is, but Den was proposed that, and I think he and his wife ended up ripping the letters off the sign, so that's a $1 fine for you. Dexter James. Oh, this is a biggie. This is a magazine, Score, celebrating 50 years, looks back at successes and ahead into the future. Dexter's pictures here. He has multiple pictures inside. This is a mentoring program, is that correct, Dexter? That he is a part of. He's doing an outstanding job. $2, Dexter, for all that publicity and bringing great things to the entrepreneurial sector and also representing us in a real nice way. Okay, Joe Boisel is not here. Is that correct? All right, we have, and I wanted to wait until he was here, but we had a story about him, and many of you probably have heard about this. You know, Joe came in a couple years ago to be the pastor of the Episcopal Church there on Atterbury, and has done an outstanding job. He's, you know, again, very enthusiastic, et cetera. But this was in his early couple of weeks here in Hudson. But he got a call from one of his ministerial buddies, and there was a funeral and a service at a gravesite in Tuscarawas County that his friend could not attend. And Joe took it upon himself to volunteer to help him out. So most of you know Joe. He's very enthusiastic, and he, you know, just jumps in wherever he can to help out. This is way out in the middle of the country. If you know Tuscarawas County, I mean, it's spread out all over the place. Joe got the address. He got some verbal directions and really had no idea where he was going. But if you know Joe, again, he's not into GPS or Google Maps. He has this old beat-up Ohio map, and he jumps in the car the next day to try to find his way down to Tuscarawas County to this gravesite. He drove all over the place. He was there, here, there, and everywhere. Left early in the morning. The service was supposed to be at 10 o'clock at the gravesite, and he ends up pulling up sweating at like noon. There is nobody around. There's a backhoe in the middle with a couple of workmen sitting down and having lunch. And Joe got out of the car. He walked up to the gravesite, and he found that the casket was already sealed, and everything was ready to go. And he felt pretty badly, but knowing Joe, again, he said, I'm going to give this my all. So he gets going. He starts singing a song. The workmen get up from lunch, and they stand over by the gravesite, and, you know, Joe's singing away, and he's getting all fired up. He opens up his Bible. He goes through a couple of verses. And again, if you know Joe, he really gets pumped up. I mean, he was fired up. He's into it, and he's getting going, and these guys are hallelujah and amen and everything else. I mean, this thing goes on for about a half hour. Joe is exhausted by the end of this. The final thing is he sings Amazing Grace. And Joe has a wonderful singing voice. The workmen join in with him. They start crying. Joe starts crying. I mean, everybody, I mean, just, you know, this is a real emotional experience. And Joe finally ends up and amen, and he starts walking back to the car, and he started kind of patting himself on the back, and he hears one of the workmen say, I have to quote this. He says, I've never seen anything like that before. And I've been putting in septic tanks for 20 years. So when you see Joe, again, you know, thank him for the well-meaning but misguided Rotary anniversaries. Everybody that has an anniversary, if when your name is called, I didn't see John Archer. Is he here? Okay, he came in 2013. Ron Barnhouse. It's a buck. Ron. 2012, Phil Herman is here. 2013, Catherine Don't give that back to him just because you're the treasurer either when you're done there. Dick Pearsall, 1987. That's fantastic. Dick, $2. Tom Tobin, 1999. Bill Woldridge, Mr. Pink Sweater. 02, is that correct? Okay. And Jim Young? All right, Jim, $5 fine for leaving early. Okay. All right. All right. Now one more. Again, all my stories are factual. These are not jokes. These are to be taken seriously. This was related to be by one of our senior members of the club. This is a scam that's going around, and many of you probably have seen this on the news, but he didn't want to mention it because he's very embarrassed because it happened to him. So I'm not going to use any names. But women are often receiving warnings about being in mall parking lots and being in those places after dark because of the safety issues. This is a heads up for men, and especially those like Ron who visit Lowe's, Home Depot, or Walmart when you're looking for particular items. Over the past month, our member has become a victim of a very clever scam while out shopping. Simply going and getting supplies has turned into a very traumatic event for this particular individual. And don't be naive enough to think it couldn't happen to you. Here's how it works. Two young ladies, scantily attired, will come over to your car or truck as you're packing up your purchases. They both start wiping the windshield with Windex, and according to our member who tried, he said it was impossible to look. Not to look, I'm sorry. When you offer them a tip, they say, no, but could you give me a ride to McDonald's? You agree, they climb in the car. One of them comes over and snuggles up and starts to nibble on your ear. The other one steals your wallet. Our member has had his wallet stolen on September 4th, 9th, 10th, twice on the 15th, the 17th, the 20th, the 25th, the 29th, also on October 5th, 7th, and 8th, and likely again this weekend. So you tell your friends what a horrible way to take advantage of an older man. He also mentioned that Walmart has wallets on sale for $2.99, and he even found cheaper ones at Dollar Store for 99 cents. Please tell all your friends to be on the lookout for this scam. He also mentioned the best times are before lunch and around 4:30. Okay, sorry. Okay, birthday wishes. All right. We got, these are long stories, Joe. Birthday wishes, Craig Tallman.
Sure. Right.
Wait a minute. I forgot birthday wishes. Okay, all right. Craig?
Yes.
Any birthday wish, please?
Well, I'm sorry, here we go. Honored moment. Okay, to celebrate my birthday, I'm going to commit a $100 donation to the Hudson Rotary Club Foundation. And my wish is that all of you will find in your heart to do something similar to that between now and the end of the year and take advantage of a tax-deductible opportunity. That's my birthday.
Very good. That's what we're talking about. His birthday was already on the 3rd. Liz Ramsey on the 5th.
Well, my birthday wish would be for a ride in Rich Warfield's Corvette. And I'll give a donation for World Polio.
Okay, very good. James Field. He's gone. Okay, we'll catch him next month. Roseanne Drake. Not here? Bill Woldridge, Mr. Pink.
Mr. Pink, I'm in the pink.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, in honor of our speaker and my next-door neighbor here, I'm going to give $100 to the Hudson City School Endowment Fund.
Fair.
Hudson Community Foundation, and I would hope everybody in this room might think about making a contribution.
Outstanding. Thank you very much. Those are our happy birthday wishes. And finally, once again, we have the Camp Ledgewood workers. If they could all stand, everybody is working today. Stand up. Let's have a nice round of applause. $1 for each of you for making everybody else look bad, and $1 for those people that did not volunteer. I know you have jobs and other things, but thank you very much. It was a wonderful, fine day, and we look forward to next month where I need more material. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Ed. We'll talk about World Polio Day next week. It is on October 23rd. But I would like now to move into our speaker, and I will ask George Snyder to come up.
Thank you.
Good morning, Rotarians.
Good morning, George. Thanks, Max.
Today is the second in our three-part series on education in the 21st century. Last week we heard Dr. Christine Pytash from Kent State University's College of Education, who talked about the growing use of technology and social media in preparing teachers to teach 21st century students. Next week we will hear from Chris Berner, who is head of school at Western Reserve Academy. Today I am pleased to introduce Doreen Osman, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction for Hudson Public Schools. Doreen earned her undergraduate degree in elementary education at Ohio University and her master's in educational administration at Cleveland State University. She served successively as principal of McDowell Elementary and Ellsworth Hill Schools. She later became Hudson's Director of Curriculum and Instruction and was promoted to Assistant Superintendent in 2013. Doreen has managed over $7 million in grants and has served on numerous committees for the school district, ranging from strategic planning and leadership to start times and transportation. She also serves on the Grant Distribution Committee for the Martha Holden Jennings Foundation, is a member of the Holy Family School Endowment Board, and serves on the Ohio University Parent Advisory Council. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in giving a warm Rotary welcome to Doreen Osman.
Good morning, everyone. Part of my job is, and my responsibilities, is to speak and go to different organizations. And I don't know why. I was so nervous today, and I was talking to Phil and Catherine. And I think it's because I have such great pride and in our students and in our schools that I want to make sure that I paint a great picture of what's going on in the 21st century in our classrooms and how we have adapted and still have maintained a really great rating in many public metrics. Okay. Here's what we hear about a lot. The top ranking ranked 6th in the U.S. News and World Report in May of 2015, ranked in the top 3% in Newsweek magazine. Our graduates are extremely successful. We have students that come prepared every single day to learn. We have great parents, and we have a great community. We have 680 some students that take the AP test every year. 83% of them score 3 or higher, which awards them college credit in most universities. 175 students are in the National Honor Society, and we had over 217 graduates that earned the honors diploma, which is a rigorous standard in Ohio. And then we hear often of districts that talk about their schools and their students that have all these scholarships. Well, we only report what is actually accepted. It's probably double, if not triple, that amount of $2.3 million of accepted. So we only report what the students accept because our students are really well prepared and extremely dedicated and conscientious. So that is something of our pride too. But that only really tells part of our story. That doesn't account for the top leadership qualities reported by IBM, what they want in their leaders, in a study in 2010, and then also a study in the U.S. News and World Report in 2015. Creativity, integrity, global thinking, influence, openness, dedication, humility, flexibility, adaptability, empathy, mentoring, interpersonal interactions, and innovation, or initiative, and self-directed. Now, I have a 20, my husband and I have, our oldest is 20. When he ever decides to bring a girl from home to meet my husband and I, he thinks girls are too much trouble. Anyways, and too much drama. Anyways, I'm not gonna worry about the ACT score. I'm going to worry about these qualities. And these are hard to measure. This isn't what you hear about. But these qualities lead to what those good scores are. So what does that look like? So a few years ago, the administrative team read Good to Great in the social sector. I'm sure some of you, or many of you, know Jim Collins' work, Good to Great, studying some of the highest performing Fortune 100 companies in the world. So we looked at it from Jim Collins' work from the social sector. And the 3 essential questions: what are you deeply passionate about? What can you be the best at in the world? And then how can we develop our sustainable resource engine? So I'm tying that, how it fits into our 21st century classrooms. What do we care deeply, what are we deeply passionate about? Our students, every one of them, from the time they get off that bus the first day of school, really all through the summer. We care about them. You see 2 little girls, they're friends. We want them to have positive, healthy relationships with one another in the classroom, and we try to develop that every day. Our service learning students, they get out of their comfort zones by going to Brown and Adams County every year. This is a senior prom at a veterans home. It's one of our senior girls dancing at a senior prom. So getting students out of the Hudson, what our kids sometimes call the Hudson bubble, and letting them experience that, maybe something they don't experience every day. What do we care? What are we deeply passionate about? We're deeply passionate about the arts and giving students different kinds of opportunities. And again, no matter what kind of art, all art. This is a picture of our middle school students working and they have a pen pals with people that live here in Laurel Lake. And then the Laurel Lake residents come over to the middle school and they have a game time during what our middle school calls focus time, which is the last period of the day. But that intergenerational piece is something that is so important and everlasting. When I was in 5th grade, my grandma moved in with us, and it was one of the best experiences that I ever had. Both my parents were working parents, and I will never, that relationship with my grandma, because she lived with us, was amazing. Our young students are also involved in student leadership, really at all levels. This is Junior Leadership Hudson. Again, being able to learn about the community, learning about Hudson, and learning about how different leadership skills. Our young students are in a USO project, writing thank you notes to our servicemen and women. We care about our extracurriculars, students that are involved. There's more research, first of all, that feel better about themselves. But getting involved in a team sport or any really one of our extracurriculars is something that's important. So what can we be best at in the world? Creating learning opportunities that build those leadership qualities. First of all, we educate all students. We have a strong moral and ethical responsibility to educate all students. This is my friend Andrew and his friend Sam in a 3rd grade classroom, creating opportunities where all students, no matter their ability, that they can thrive and be good human beings and good citizens. Creating 21st century learning. I did a chart here about the differences between a 20th century classroom, which we grew up in, which was good and a sound educational experience, and the 21st century classroom, because our students need something different. Our students are going to encounter jobs that aren't even existing today. Our children are going to need those creativity, those skills that I talked about, that IBM and US News and World Report identified in different studies. 21st century learning, time-based versus now outcome-based. Focus on memorization to now what students can do and what they have learned, and when the details are forgotten, those essential and enduring skills. Textbook-driven from the 21st century to research-driven. Passive learning to active learning. Learners were in isolation, and now learners are collaborative. Our workforce is much more collaborative. Very rarely is a person sitting in a cubicle doing work in isolation. There has to be some kind of communication, collaboration, initiative happening. Teacher provides the information. The teacher is the giver of the information, the sage on the stage. Now, it's more of a learner-centered. There's mini lessons, there's still direct instruction, but then the students are engaged in that learning. There's little to no student choice, and there's a lot of student choice. Isolated curriculum to integrated curriculum. The teacher is the grader. Now there's peers, self, and then still assessment portfolios into a public audience, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. And the grades are averaged versus the grades are based on what is mastered. Grades are still averaged. We still grade and we still average our grades. But again, what do we really want to know what a student ultimately knows? And actually colleges are talking about more of a portfolio instead of just that ACT test, thank goodness. I want to show an example of a test question. This is a test question, actually a released item from the AP U.S. History exam. So the Hartford Convention was a manifestation of a New England Federalist opposition to the War of 1812, and you can go on, there's different choices. And this is the type of question we are moving to, promoting 21st century classroom skills. Write a conversation on the topic of liberty between one of the following pairs of characters. Choose any format to clearly identify two contrasting points of view about them of liberty in at least one specific event or situation appropriate to the time period. Consider characteristics including race, class, occupation, gender, geographic location, age, etc. that would help you to identify with the characters. And here are the pairs. A Massachusetts Bay Colony resident and a Virginia Colony resident in the 21st century. You can see that the deep knowledge still has to be there. But what students have to do, they're writing a conversation between these two pairs with the skills. That is much different than a one-stop shop. I memorized it and I go away. This involves deep research. It involves potentially collaboration. It involves a lot of deeper thinking than just that one answer. A lot of skills. There's reading skills, there's writing skills involved in here, research skills. So this is a question of the 21st century classroom. Our 9th graders will be answering this question in their classroom. So how do we get there? How do we get from a question, a traditional question, which students are still exposed to, and they are still expected to answer those literal basic comprehension questions, but they're also expected to be able to engage in this kind of work in a meaningful way. So one of the ways we get there is, Jim Collins says, put the right people on the bus. So we hire, I believe, some of the best talent that we have. We have a wonderful, amazing hiring process. I equate it on New Teacher Orientation Day to one of those Ninja Warrior, because they have to take an online survey that is a perceiver, and by Gallup, it's research-based. We have screening after that, and then a review of their resume, their letters of recommendation, their education, what they were involved in college, if we're hiring right out of college, which is somewhat not typical, or what their educational experience is. What do they give back? How do they give back? And then there's at least 2 to 3 interviews, and Phil meets with every single candidate that we have. So we spend a lot of time also with professional development that is research-based and based on what the teachers need and what our students need. So you'll see learning like this. Instead of learning about force and motion, and students are actually creating go-karts. You can see Barney on the floor. They have to carry something too. So instead of reading about it, taking a quiz, they're actually constructing it. So and there's a lot of brain research saying once they build something like that, their understanding is much more enduring. Our students are out of their classrooms and they're planting. Instead of learning about plants and the life cycle of the plant and photosynthesis, this is 3rd grade, that's in the curriculum, photosynthesis. After they learn that, they're out planting and they're doing something and they're giving back to their school, they're beautifying their school grounds. We have students mentoring younger students. This is in our new tennis center, and you see one of our high school girls, and this is on the community day, working and playing with a younger child. We have students here that have changed one of the storybooks that's about anti-bullying, and they act it out and they perform it for others. We also get students out of their comfort zone and have them experience, this is our 8th grade trip to Washington, D.C. 8th grade has American history as part of their curriculum. So the students learned all year about the contributions of our early forefathers, and then we went to many different sites in Washington, D.C., including the White House, and I actually got to chaperone 8th grade students, 325. I didn't have all 325, I only had 15 to be in charge of, but it was amazing to be with the students and their level of understanding when they went to the American History Smithsonian and saw the first American flag. That display is amazing, and how they would relate their learning about the Revolutionary War. And so getting those experiences out to our students. So we want to talk about our resource engine. What is our resource engine? Well, first of all, we start with our leadership. I believe that we have a very strong leader, not only in Phil and Catherine, but our school board, but then our teachers are leaders, and our staff, and constantly modeling what happens. If you don't have the right person on the bus leading that mission and vision of caring about every single student, then who are you going to follow? We have highly involved parents celebrating not only the academic accomplishments, but the art accomplishments, and making those celebrations. We have to be careful of what we celebrate. It can't just be the highest achievers. It cannot just be the 27 national merit finalists and semifinalists. It has to be the students that experience success along the way. I'm not saying a trophy for everybody, but I'm saying explicit feedback on saying, you did a great job. And this is why you did a great job. Our resource engine is inviting our community into our schools. This is our holiday sharing, our Thanksgiving program, where we have parents, grandparents, and our seniors in our community come into our middle school. It is a delicious lunch provided by our nutrition services, and our students, you can't see them here, but we have our we have a string quartet of 6th, 7th, and 8th grade students. We also have parents and community members coming in and helping us judge and being involved in our Shark Tank program, where students are developing a business and pitching their ideas. How do we put this all together? We have high expectations. We know that our the public measures are important. So that first slide, talking about AP, talking about our rankings, talking about the high achievement of the students, we know that they're important, and we still pay attention to that because that does matter. We also want to keep our leadership qualities a priority. How do we foster that? We are highly invested in Stephen Covey's work, 7 Habits of Highly Happy Kids, which is K-5, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Teens, which is in our middle school, which is we have advisee programming. And then we also have, in the high school, we have peer collaboration, which is based on Covey's work also. So looking at those leadership qualities, thinking with the end in mind, synergize, seek to understand, all of those 7 habits are ingrained into different learning and different projects, and that enhances and supports those leadership qualities. And also, we care deeply for each student. What makes Hudson Schools so successful? Really understanding that learning is dynamic. We cannot be a static institution or organization. Schools are not static. Our students aren't static. We have to change. We have to understand what they need, and then also where they're going. That's the adult's responsibility. Our stakeholders are invested with their time, talents, and treasure. Our community, our parents, our teachers, our administrators, our staff, some of the best in the world, as far as I'm concerned. And there's that investment. Think about what Bill Woolridge just did, or the people that are going out to Camp Ledgewood today. That's an investment. Those are role models. Not every community has that. We are very lucky. I'm very grateful. And every student is valued. And we do believe we have a shared responsibility, no matter what, and to create the best learning environments for our students. And thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
What % of Hudson High School graduates graduate from college?
We have 4 and 5 year data that supports that. We have about, I believe, 92% graduate within that 5 years. Some of our kids are in 5-year programs. Some of our students, like what I call as a parent, a victory lap, which is not good as a parent. As a student, my husband loved it. Yeah. So, 92% of those that attend college graduate in 4 or 5 years, and we have 98% that attend college. It's about the same.
Thank you.
Do you have any information on how many of these students get college loans?
No, I do not. But I can find, many probably do. Many probably have loans. I don't know. I'm not sure if that's public information or not. Okay.
Can I ask one question? You know, you hear stories about the stress that kids go through in high school, and you also hear stories about how many of them have unfortunately attempted to commit suicide. Do you have any statistics on that as far as the school is concerned?
No, we do not. We do not have statistics. But one of the things that we're working on as a school district and with our teachers and our families is really helping students, this is not an easy, this is so complex, but really it's okay to fail, and you learn more about standing back up and that resiliency. There's so many mental health and societal issues that go with suicide. But that is something that is on our radar. We want our students, we want everybody to be healthy of mind and body and spirit. So that is something that we do pay attention to, though. And we only know if parents share.
Doreen, my son is going through some 3.5-hour test this morning.
Yes.
He's a freshman.
Yep.
What is that? And is that designed to help deal with test anxiety then too, or?
It is not designed to deal with test anxiety. It is actually a precursor to the PSAT. So our juniors and sophomores are taking the PSAT. This is the ACT Aspire, which will help identify strengths and weaknesses to potentially address. It also has some college and career ready with his strengths and weaknesses on his basic skills. Is he more a lawyer? Is he more a business person? Is he more a doctor? Those kinds of things. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Doreen. Thank you. So thanks to our greeters today and our setup crew. I saw Larry Santon here early helping us and the regular team. Let's move into our drawing for our Rotabuck. Today it is a $20 payout, and the jackpot is $810. It's never been over $800 very often.
Come on, Dory. Throw him on the floor. Did I? I remember who your friends are, Dory. That's Joe. I was listening carefully.
And the number is 2892. 2892.
I know, I'm sorry, Dan.
That's so good.
Who did?
That's the facts.
20? It's got some change in there. And there's the black marbles in there.
Oh.
Not yet. Thank you. Everybody have a great day.